Hello and welcome to the British Gaming Podcast. It is the 26th of October 2015. We are recording slightly early just so that we can accommodate everybody. With me, as always, is the wonderful Richard Savage.
Hello.
The absolute pain in the arse that is Terry Kane.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And special guest, Pete!
Hey.
Pete,
How
no
long
surname.
until I'm not a special guest anymore, until I'm just a regular?
Stop being so special.
Had we at some point gone together and decided that you're a regular? I missed that
Me and
meeting.
Terry had, I guess.
Okay. Would have been nice for me and Richie to be in that conversation. So, let's turn to what we're looking at this week. So first of all, 3 out of the 4 of us went to MCM this weekend. So we'll be talking about that, and Richie will be watching Twitch streams, I guess. Is
that a euphemism?
Probably.
No, not in this instance. I really will be watching a Twitch stream.
Meanwhile,
to it.
Some people will be playing an Unreleased Dizzy game from over 20 years ago that finally saw the light of day. The Vita might be dead, people. There are no first-party games coming to the Vita, that's confirmed.
What do you mean might be? It's been dead for years.
Yeah, this isn't news.
We'll get to that. Harmonix staff have been caught posting positive Rock Band reviews. Haha. And YouTube Red Launchers, paid subscription service for exclusive content and ad removal on other content. So will anyone actually be using that? So, before we do any of that, what have we been playing, I would say this week, but seeing as we're recording a little early, the past few days? We will start with, on the rotation, spinning an actual physical wheel with your names on right now. It's Terry.
Oh. Wait,
Yeah.
You actually made a wheel?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. You need to send us a picture of this wheel.
And you need to get out more.
I did not make an actual wheel. I can't believe I managed to get you guys to believe that. Right.
It sounds like something you would do, to be fair.
Yeah, that's why we believed it.
Record.
Right. There may be an actual physical wheel that I may or may not have to bin before you guys visit in January, so that I may or may not have to be embarrassed.
You should always be embarrassed anyway.
We'll get to the insults later. From
Indeed,
the looks
we
of
will.
things, Koshoro Guy has left us a few in the questions for the week.
Yeah, thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah. So, what have you been playing? Come on, get on with it.
All right, so episode 5 of Life is Strange came out. Played that, and I said I was going to do a let's play of it. I did record myself playing it, but it was such a field trip. I was just in quiet awe, and I was just like, it's not the sort of thing where it's good for uploading, but it was intense. It was an intense ending to that game. I might record and upload a second playthrough at some point, but I think I'll leave that one for a little bit. I did my Sonic 3 stream, my first ever stream, and that was actually really fun. Hey?
Plug.
Yeah.
I got
really
to hear
enjoyed
about
that.
the stream at MCM. Terry came over to my table, knowing that I'd been in London since Thursday and wouldn't have had a chance to have seen it, and told me that apparently, in the chat, it came up that I have a depressing face.
And for once, it wasn't me saying it.
Or me.
Wait, you guys have been saying it?
No.
Of course not.
You bastards. Right, okay, carry on.
I feel like we're getting back at Sam for like weeks and weeks of his insults.
Terry, next game.
Let's see. So yeah, there was Life is Strange, there was Sonic 3. I got Retro City Rampage on the 3DS. I already had it on PC. Yeah, so I don't know. It's really nice playing it on a handheld. Like I've had it on PC for a while, and it had just been on my backlog, and I saw it on sale on the eShop for like £4. I was like, yoink! And
Nice,
so far,
nice.
it's been really, really fun.
Yeah, it reminds you of the old PlayStation 1 GTAs, right? I mean, it is based on them, so it should.
Pretty much, except it handles a lot better.
And you can ride Donkey Kong.
Indeed. And just, I like the silly little references here and there. Well, it's just a big pile of references, really.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Kung Fury of video games.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, that's quite a good review to give it, really. But yeah, I'd recommend it.
Cool.
That's all for me. Spin the wheel.
Okay. Hang on. Yeah, stop.
We need a
saying-
little jingle for that
Right.
as well.
It's Richie.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
What have I been playing? I've been playing some more. I played some GTA 5 the other night with Chaz and my brother while you guys were probably busy in a way, but we didn't get anything particularly funny out of it. So that was a shame. But I've got a few funny clips, but not enough to make a video. So I need to play some more with you guys soon so I can make a video out of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't
how's the
cheat
new
on this
DLC?
next time.
The new DLC is actually, it's really good. However, to pimp a lowrider out costs you approximately about $1 million in total, which I don't have. I mean, you can buy a cheap, crappy old lowrider which is covered in rust for about $5,000, but then when you take it to the pimping shop, just to convert it into a moddable lowrider costs like $450,000, which
That's
is a
a
lot.
lot of heisting.
Yeah, exactly. I told you last week, I think, my brother had about $5 million, pimped out about 3 or 4 cars, and now has nothing left. No
He's
money to show for
skint.
it whatsoever, pretty much. And
And then
considering
the
how much money he had,
The next update will come out, and he'll just be looking at it longingly, like, oh, I could have
Hopefully-
like a platinum plane if I hadn't pimped
I think
my
he's
lowrider.
he's already got everything he needs anyway, so I think he's good. What else have I been playing? I tried to play Sir, You Are Being Hunted. I played multiplayer with a friend. That game is rubbish. Don't waste your money on that.
Didn't you recommend that last week?
I didn't recommend it. I said I tried it and I was waiting to see how the multiplayer panned out, but it was not worth it. It's
Oh,
an
dear.
it's a good concept for a game, but it just doesn't work, unfortunately. I've been playing some more Isaac in preparation for the DLC coming out on Friday, Binding of Isaac. The big DLC update comes out. I pre-ordered it. Comes out on Friday. And over the weekend, I played some more Lego Dimensions with my sister when I went to see her. Still thoroughly enjoyable. Still not worth the money, but a fun game nonetheless.
I think that's the main crux of it. Not worth the money.
Absolutely. The figures are cool, though, I have to admit. The little Lego figures are cool.
Yeah. I just realised, by the way, that because me and Richie were not present for this, hey, let's add Pete as a recurring cast member discussion.
It wasn't an official decision. Pete was just like, hey, I want to join more often. I was like, I can't imagine those guys will object to you joining. We had fun last week.
However, it does mean that his name is not on the wheel. The wheel has 3 names on it, meaning it's impossible for us to spin Pete. So I'll go, and then Pete can go.
What would you do if you spun the wheel and it landed on the same person, though?
Well, I sort of figured.
Spin again?
Yeah, spin
It's
again.
kind of going to be you, Sam, because these two have already gone, and they're the only other people on the wheel.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say, but in a very long-winded way. So I'll go and then Pete goes. So I picked up Croc, Legend of the Gobos, however you want to pronounce it, and Croc 2 at MCM. I had a really slow day for sales on Friday, and just like trying to keep my energy up, I'm like moving around, trying to do some just keep the blood flowing. And yeah, at one point I started humming the theme tune to Croc.
Is it me, or does it sound like the American Price is Right theme?
Really does, yeah. What was nice was some people joined in, so that's always fun. But yeah, I originally played it on Saturn about 16 years ago. Never played the PlayStation version. I popped it in this morning, played it a little. The kids seem to like it, so that's a plus. I can play it in front of them. There have been some games I've gone to play in front of the kids, and Maya just starts shouting, "I don't like!" Until you turn it off, which is really frustrating. But Croc, she seems to like, so that's good.
How does the PlayStation version compare to the Saturn version?
Well, I was a bit disappointed because Croc has a head. You know.
Yeah, that is disappointing.
Well, the Saturn version, and Richie will remember this. If you didn't, there was a headless glitch. So if you just booted the game up, Croc wouldn't have a head, and the gobos would just be pairs of floating eyes. And it affected some of the enemies and stuff as well. The only way around it was to boot up the Saturn with no disc in it, open the disc tray while the Saturn's on its main menu, put the disc in, close the tray, let the Saturn read it, and then boot the game from the Saturn's main menu, and then Croc would have a head. The one thing that is weird about playing it now is that I'm playing it through the PlayStation 3, which I believe the native display is 480p, and then it upscales it to 1080, or because I'm using composite cables, it'd be 720p that I'm currently playing it in. So I'm playing it without scan lines because it's a HD TV, not a CRT. And I'm playing it with... I turned off all the bloody smoothing options on the PS3 because otherwise it just looks like someone smeared Vaseline across everything. So it's like really crisp, clear, sharp pixels. It looks quite gorgeous, I must say. And oddly enough, Croc seems to be displaying in widescreen, but it's not stretching anything. So Croc on PlayStation must have supported widescreen somehow. Because that's how it's being displayed.
And it's extremely tanky, which you like.
Oh yeah, absolutely love the
It's
controls.
tanky as hell.
It is. Croc 2, admittedly, I never got a chance to play, so I picked that up just because, yay, new experience based on something I know I enjoy. I will be playing that after I re-beat Croc 1. So it doesn't. I guess it just doesn't really qualify for this segment, other than to say that I have it and I will be playing it. I got my N64 out, played a little bit of that, mainly Lilac Wars and a little bit of Banjo-Kazooie. While I was away, a fellow artist was kind enough to offer me a spare room at theirs throughout MCM, and me and her boyfriend ended up playing some Rocket League co-op. It was beautiful. We were up against some French guys, and we scored a goal. Well, I scored the goal with 7 seconds left on the clock, and we just saw in chat on the Steam version this guy swearing at his teammate in French. It was great.
Is there a more beautiful sight?
Yeah, like French swearing. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's like 7 seconds to go. They're like, yeah, we got this. And then I got an equalizer, which took us to sudden death. And then it turned out, yeah, they really did have it. They beat our asses in sudden death. So it was that. Obviously, the coach on the way there, I whacked out the Vita. I played a little bit of Super Meat Boy, a little bit of Persona 4 Golden, and some more Rogue Legacy, some more Spelunky. So actually, for a week where I've been quite busy and away from home, I've probably played more than I would play most weeks, which is odd and slightly concerning. Yeah. Right, I'm going to hand over to Pete.
I have played absolutely nothing this week.
Right, moving on.
So there's that. I've been at work constantly for 4 days, and then we were at Expo, and then it's today, where I've been sleeping all day because we were at Expo yesterday. So I'm hoping to play something tonight. Don't really know what yet, but as of yet, nothing.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, me and Peter were talking about this idea for a particular, like maybe stream or recording we're going to do. We won't go into too much detail about it at the moment until we've fine-tuned it.
Okay, we'll move on then.
Maybe we could start that tonight.
Definitely give it a go.
Yeah. One game I forgot to mention, I also got Hotline Miami 2. Basically, it plays like the first one, to be honest, pretty much. But I really like the first one, so that's good.
Okay. That's one other thing I have been doing today, actually, is I've been staring at... I got with the newest version of RPG Maker MV. It came out on Friday while I was away, so I installed that today, now that I'm back, and have started tinkering for a British gaming blog game. The basic premise of which is that it's a bit Tony Stark narcissism. The basic plot is we're hosting a convention. Me, Terry Ritchie, hosting a convention, and we suddenly discover that we don't have any games for the games room because we all thought it was someone else's responsibility. So the player playing as us has 7 days to then find games for the games room, and they can do that at car boots, shops, that kind of thing. And instead of fighting like goblins and slimes, it'll be fighting like scalpers and eBay snipers as your common enemies. And at the end of the 7-day cycle, it would unlock like a new game plus, so that you could keep your progress and sort of like grind to get rarer games for next time. Quite a collectathon sort of game, but it looks like we'll be able to do it in RPG Maker. I'm currently looking at a plugin where you can actually attach add-ons to certain items. So I'm thinking with that you could it's meant to be like, you take a sword and you improve the hilt, or you take a gun and you add a scope to up the accuracy, that kind of deal. But I was thinking that we could use that same system to have like the main item be the cartridge, and then like the add-ons, instead of being like scopes or sword hilts, would be like the manual and the case. Don't know. Feel free to give thoughts on that, guys.
When does the Kickstarter go up?
There's no Kickstarter for it. The engine is $54.99. I was gonna buy it anyway. I already have, Photoshop for sprite editing and everything like that, and I already pay for that. So there's not really any costs that's unaccounted for. However, if I do finish it, and it's quite a small scope game, so the likelihood is it would get finished, I would probably chuck it on Steam for 99p just to see if I could recoup any costs or anything like that.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. However, I would need a contract signed with you two to say that you are happy with your likeness being in the game, and that you're happy that because you've not put any of the financial input in, you're not getting any of the financial output out. So that'd be, no likeness rights or royalties, basically. But then it's a 99p game on Steam about collecting games. It's not gonna set the world on fire. I'll be, Lupacillo and Koshoro guy will buy it, and that'll be it.
I don't know. I don't think Asharo likes us anymore.
We'll get to that.
Also, what about a Peter DLC pack?
I'll think about it. So
On this DLC.
Moving.
Yeah, you got to get a disc sent to you in the post with the DLC on for a download only game.
Moving on. Obviously, question of the week. Richie, you're not going to be able to participate in this, and I apologise for that. What your favourite thing from MCM this weekend?
I got a picture of me in a DeLorean, and that's something I wanted for a long time, and that is my favourite bit about MCM.
Okay, and you did that like 5 minutes after getting in the door as well. You literally could have turned up and been like, right, I'm done.
Everything after that was just gravy,
Yeah. Terry, come on.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to decide. I was quite happy I got that Freezer Funko Pop figure.
Yeah. Okay. Freezer
Yeah,
Funko
I put
Pop.
I put that print from that I got from you on my wall as well.
Awesome. Nice plug,
Yeah.
by the way. Thank you for the. Usually I plug me.
Yeah, go plug yourself.
Who's plugging who?
I need to make that a shirt. Go plug yourself. No,
Yeah.
for me would probably be because I was selling all weekend, and it would just be everybody who came by the table, even if they just had a chat, even if they didn't necessarily buy anything. Someone actually had a chat with me about the podcast.
Really?
And videos in general, yeah. They said they were a listener, and yeah,
You got to give them a shout out now.
I would if I'd taken their name.
Let us
You
know
are a
who you
bastion
are.
of customer service.
I really am.
Leave a message. Let us know.
Yeah, and they did. There's lots of people shaking my hand over the weekend. That was new for Comic Con. People don't usually like, "Hi, how are you?" and they're putting a hand out, and it's like, "Huh, okay, handshakes. That's a thing now. That's not been a thing at previous cons, but yeah, people have been very keen on those this weekend. I don't know why." But yeah, probably the nicest thing about it is the people who have come by for a chat, and also the new issue of the comic, because it's in this weird space now where, because I have multiple issues out, I'm seeing, obviously, the rule of diminishing returns. Not everybody who comes back, not everybody who got issue 1 will come back for issue 2, and no one will get issue 2 if they don't already have issue 1, and I'm on issue 3, so I've got the diminishing returns, like, twice over, essentially. So the people who, did come back and did pick up issue 3, have decided to come back on 2 occasions now. They were very enthusiastic. They loved the book, and it's just really, it makes it worth it. Also, I worked out my costs for the convention to be £142. Does anyone want to know what I took over the weekend? And Terry, you already know, so no cheating.
Yeah, go on then.
All right, 147.
Hey! Drinks are on you.
Yeah, I know, a whole $5 up. And then Pete turned around at the show and said to me, "Does that include your food and the print cost of the books?" And I asked Pete to shut up.
I thought it did. I wanted
It's
to
a
make
valid
you feel
question.
better.
It is a valid question, and it takes me from being £5 up to being like £40 down, depending on how you look at it. So, let's get to these topics. I mean, we're already talking about MCM, so we may as well continue in that vein. I didn't see a lot of the convention. Obviously, I've been behind the stall the entire weekend. Very rarely did I nip out from behind the stall. So I'm going to leave them... And Richie, you just didn't go. So I'm going to leave the majority...
How many times have you mentioned that this time and had a dig at him for that?
Just letting the audience know why me and Richie are probably going to go quiet for 5 minutes while Terry and Pete talk about what they saw and what they did at MCM Expo.
Why
Or
you and
MCM
Richie are going to
Comic-Con.
fall out?
Oh, we don't. No, we have fallen out before.
Let's not go into that.
Yeah, no. Carry on.
You want to go first, Pete?
Yeah, so thanks for joining us on the Terry and Pete podcast within a podcast.
Like and subscribe.
One like equals one prayer.
This is the best bit of the show.
Yeah, that's because it's just
Like
me and
this.
Terry.
Can I be a special guest on yours next week?
I don't know, I'll have to run that by everyone else. After that, I don't really know what to say more about MCM. I really enjoyed it.
In terms of game stuff on display there, from what I could see, it was pretty much really focused on streaming and esports kind of stuff. Like I saw lots of Twitch branding about in the other hall, because I was separated into 2 sort of sections, Sam.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the other section at all.
Yeah, so basically, pretty much loads of open space in there, and all I could really see was the Ogscast section and a Twitch section in there.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, I got a bit of hiccups. And Yeah, and so in the section that you were in terms of games there, like the big displays I saw were mainly that new Naruto game. Saw some indie games on display there, but yeah, nothing really sort of eye-catching. But then I was sort of, kind of exploring and wandering around. I think so. It's not really a mark against them, just more. I think the displays more than the games, if you get what I mean.
I think if we'd had more than a day, we probably would have sort of staked out the gaming bit a bit more.
Yeah.
But it was very much a case of, like, especially the indie games would have one or two PCs with the game there, and that would be pretty much it. I didn't see much other like promotional material. And every time I saw it, it was just like the same guy or whatever playing on their indie game. So you'd kind of have to hang around that area for a while. There was obviously the Bandai Namco. They had like a sort of a square section. But again, it wasn't packed. There was a few people there, but that filled out the small space they had. So again, it was a kind of a case of we were only there for a day. If we were there for 2, I probably would have spent a lot more time there trying to get in to see all the different games. But it was kind of an impossibility.
Your advice would be get a weekend ticket.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, you said before that there's going to be that Gamer Mania thing that MCM are doing, isn't there? I'm wondering if they're saving a lot of their best gaming stuff for that, to be honest.
I don't know, MCM, they cast their net really wide. They try and please everyone, and sometimes that means they don't please anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, in terms of gaming, like, to be honest, with this weekend, if you're not there for the comics, if you're just there for the gaming, it's okay, but it's more comic focused.
I guess it
You'd
really
have been
depends
better
on.
off going to EGX Res if you wanted gaming, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you do want to do things like if you're big into Twitch, then obviously there is that whole section. Twitch isn't something I've really gotten into that much at the minute, so it wasn't really for me.
So Rich would be happy.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd have been over the moon if I'd been there.
Yogscast.
There was obviously the Yogscast were there. There was a huge queue. People waited in the queue for over an hour to sort of speak to them and get some stuff signed. That wasn't really worth it for us because, again, we were there for we had 6 hours at the show and that was it.
They did an
unauthorized...
Guys, they did an unauthorized panel on, I believe it was the Saturday night. And this is a panel where MCM were very keen to say their views are not our views. We don't... we're not sponsoring this panel. This panel is nothing to do with us. If, you want to go, but... what they say and do does not reflect in any way, shape or form on MCM, and I thought that was very unusual, so I asked around about it. And basically I got told about the Minecon incident, which prior to this weekend was something that I hadn't been told about. So at Minecon, remember, lots of 10 and under kids at a Minecraft convention, they did a live stream in front of an audience, and they were specifically asked, due to the age of the audience, to keep the swearing, to a minimum. Just don't do it, really. And then they proceeded to swear profusely. To the point that, security were telling them off, convention organisers were telling them off. Notch heard about it and said that he was disappointed in them, and that he expected better from them. And at this point, Yogscast decided to reply to Notch, claiming that nobody would know or care about Notch's game if Yogscast hadn't featured it. And they claimed that Minecraft owed its entire success to Yogscast.
Well, I didn't find Minecraft through them, so that's not strictly true.
Me neither.
Yeah. Well, do you want to know what Notch's reply to them was?
Go on.
Say that to my billions and billions of dollars?
No. You're banned from Minecraft. And this was all like a couple of years ago, so this was prior to him selling it for a couple of billion. But yeah. So this is, and then I found out that's why a lot of cons are sort of nervous about having them, and also why MCM were having them, but doing everything they could to distance themselves from that panel and taking zero responsibility or liability for anything they said or did at that panel. I've not had any reports as to how that panel went down, but I would be very interested to hear from anybody who went along to it. That's all. That's everything I had on that. That's it. So I would be quite happy to jump from one convention to another and just go over the news that a Dizzy game, which 22 years after it was made, has been unveiled. So the game is called Wonderland Dizzy. It's been released for free. You can play it in your browser. Is everybody here familiar with the Dizzy franchise?
I've heard you mention it, but I've not played it.
I'm
Same
familiar
here.
with it, but I've not played it either.
Okay, Pete?
Same. I've heard you talk about it, but I've not played it.
Okay. My experience with it is limited to Fantastic Dizzy on the Master System and also the Mega Drive version of the same game. Essentially, you play as an egg called Dizzy. He's an egg with hands and feet. And he lives with the Yoke Folk. That's the name of his people. And usually they're trying to beat the evil wizard Zax. And it's sort of half platformer, half point and click. So you can carry 3 items at any one time. And to give you an example, in Fantastic Dizzy, one of the early puzzles is that there's like a man-eating weed blocking your path. So you have to go off somewhere else, find some weed killer, and then spray the weed killer at the man-eating weed.
That wasn't what I thought you meant by weed.
Right, okay.
I thought, is this a kid's game? Smoking weed?
But it gets a little more obscure as it goes on as to what you're supposed to do and what items supposed to achieve what end. And as I say, because it's combined with platforming as well, some of it you've got to like jump up several areas to get the item, and if you fall back down, the fall will be enough to kill you. And also, frustratingly, in some versions of the game, there are stars scattered throughout the world. And in some versions of the game, there are only about 50. In other versions of the game, there's something closer to 200. And to get into the final level, you need all of them, which can mean a lot of backtracking. Very, very fun game, though. I definitely recommend people play it. What makes Wonderland Dizzy unique is that you get to play as Dizzy's girlfriend Daisy, which wasn't a thing before. This seems to be very much the same gameplay. I've had a little fiddle with it so far, in the browser-based version anyway. And yeah, the actual story behind it is quite interesting. So the developers, Andrew and Philip Oliver, who are twins, they found the game about 5 months ago in their attic.
So is this just like an unreleased sequel then?
Yeah, it's just an unreleased entry into the series. They forgot they'd made it, and they found
As you do.
they found a disc in the attic with all of the assets on it. Got in touch with the Dizzy fan community, and of course someone was able to take those raw assets and source code and put together a ROM that would run, which was interesting. So yeah, and then they just released it for free. They said they did plan on publishing it because the game was finished, but they took it to Codemasters, and for whatever reason at the time, Codemasters just didn't want to know and had no interest in putting it out there, which annoyed them. It's nice to know that these kinds of things are still surfacing, but at the same time, it makes me wonder, like, what else is hanging about people's houses,
Yeah. I know, it takes me back to like when Star Fox 2 was still, news about this kind of thing.
More recently, the PlayStation Super Nintendo prototype that was found.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
apparently
the
it's
Sonic.
being exhibited in Hong Kong.
Damn.
Yeah.
Or there's those Sonic Extreme levels that you can get online now.
Oh yeah, from the cancelled Sega Saturn game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been ported over to PC and it's all playable and everything. I need to give that a try this week, actually, now that I need to remind myself to do that.
Yeah, if I find the time, I will be doing that. It's all about finding that time, though, which is the tricky bit.
So does this mean we should be raiding We should go around to developers' houses and raiding their attics and lofts and basements and
I'm
things
up
like
for
that.
that. Yeah.
Sounds like that's where the magic is.
Oh yeah, I'd be totally game. Yeah, we'll find out where they live, and we'll just be like, "Show me your crap."
We don't have to tell them.
We'll just break in when they're
Yeah.
not home. Okay. We could get accused of lots of things on the back of this podcast, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
We now have a recording of us saying, let's break into people's homes.
See, now if one of them does get robbed, I'm going to look really suspicious.
you are. What is weird is, like, there are these unreleased games, obviously, for these older systems. I'm thinking in, like, 20 years' time, we'll be finding unreleased PlayStation Vita games. Because the first-party Vita support has been unceremoniously dropped. Obviously, third parties aren't keen to develop for it because the uptake has been piss poor. And while I love the machine, there's just no software for it, you know.
There's been no first-party support for it for ages.
Yeah, but now they've officially said they've got no plans for it.
Didn't they say that last year?
No, they said this as recently as... hang on, let me find the source again.
I could have sworn I heard this last year.
I think they probably just forgot about the Vita, and then someone else only was like, "Oh shit, the Vita. We need to do something about this." And that's when they announced that they were no longer making any games for it because nobody bought it because there were no games for it.
Here we go. So the source is from the 23rd of October 2015. So literally 3 days ago.
Yeah, it sounds like something I've heard before, but that's not dwell on that.
I've definitely heard about it before. I think some big player, I can't remember who it was last year, came out and said, "We've analysed it and we think that the Vita is a failure." I think that might be what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
They basically looked at how many people had bought it, how many people were making games for it, and I think it was basically all of the big players said, "Yeah, we don't want to make games for the Vita because we can't make our money back on them because we spent as much."
I believe you're referring to a statement by Shuei Yoshida back at E3. And what was weird is at the time, Yoshida said that they didn't have any plans for big AAA Vita games first party, which implied that they might still do small first party games. However, they went on to say, "We have so much amazing AAA content from third parties," and that I don't know where that's supposed to be. The current statement, the new one, and the one that we're basing the topic on, is from an executive called Masayasu Ito, I think it is. Masayasu, someone's going to correct me on that pronunciation. So he went on record as saying, "Currently, first-party studios have no titles in development for PlayStation Vita. Since third parties are working very hard on PlayStation Vita, Sony Computer Entertainment's own strategy is to focus on PlayStation 4. Essentially saying, we are chucking the Vita under the bus and focusing on the PS4.
Very
is the way
much.
I take that statement.
I take it as more of they've dropped it under the bus and don't want to try and retrieve it.
Yeah.
I think it's been
usually
known
when
for
you
a while.
chuck somebody under the bus, you're not intending for them to survive.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're going to chuck somebody under the bus and then, with the intention of later on dusting them off and being like, it's
Yeah,
still
but
good.
I think it's been metaphorically under the bus for a while now, and they've only just realised.
Yeah.
Hey, where did Vita go? Oh shit, yeah, we chucked it under that.
I think Extra Credits had got it right when they said that the Vita was just too powerful for its own good, just purely due to the fact that, you get some big AAA game that would sort of show what the Vita can do, and then every other developer thinks, oh shit, we need to make our game look that good, otherwise no one's going to want it. So therefore, developing costs go higher than they want them to go for a handheld, because let's face it, you don't want to invest as much in a handheld game as you do on a console game, because the install base isn't high enough.
Well, unless it's the 3DS. I mean, more people have 3DSs than have Wii U's, in my experience.
Well, yeah, that's true. But then at the same time, Nintendo's handhelds have always been able to sell very well, just purely due to the fact that there's Pokemon.
I think from my experience as well is a lot of Nintendo games are more worked around very short play times because they're aware that you get your DS out on the bus when you're waiting for your, to get to work or school or whatever. You're not going to be sitting in front of it for an hour. You're going to be getting 10, 15 minutes out of it. And from my experience playing DS games, they seem to be a lot more worked around that. Whereas from what I've seen with the Vita, it's basically just, hey, look, here's what would have been a PS3 game but is now on the Vita. Have fun with that. Yeah, you haven't really got any save points or anything. So you can't just open it up for 10 minutes and then go, right, well, I'm halfway through the level. I guess I'll have to redo that one then.
Well, no, with the Vita, you can put it into what's basically standby mode, where it conserves the battery, but when you turn it back on, you just continue from where you left off.
Yeah, but it's still not brilliant because obviously ideally you want to play in discrete chunks. You don't want to have to remember, oh, what was I even doing at this point? You want to be able to say, right, I'm going to start from the start of this level, I'm going to go to the end of the level, and then I can maybe do another one or whatever. You don't have to go, well, I'm halfway through, what have I done already? What am I even supposed to be doing?
Super Meat Boy is so good to play on it.
Exactly. That's the thing that handheld should really capitalize on. It's not big budget AAA games. They should really capitalize on the indie market a lot as a predominant source of income, not only due to the fact that, they're lower budget titles to develop, but they work well for the whole handheld structure. And on top of that, people are used to downloading handheld games. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. Like, with a handheld, downloadable games is a bit of a better thing just due to the fact you don't want to carry around loads of cartridges everywhere.
True.
Another factor as well is obviously you can just write a game for mobile phones nowadays. A lot of people have phone games that they pull out on the bus or when when they've got 10 minutes. So there's less of a market for a separate, distinct handheld when there's so many free or cheap games you can get for your phone.
Well, it's another device that you're pretty much guaranteed to have in your pocket, so why would you free up pocket space for then a 3DS or a Vita? It's a valid point. Richie, you got any take on this?
Well, I've never really been interested in the Vita, to be honest. So I don't really know much about the actual console itself, but it's not surprising. It's been out for a while now, hasn't it? When did the Vita come out? Must be a while.
4 years, I think.
Well, that's a pretty good life cycle for something like the Vita, isn't it? I'd say
it's not done anything during that.
I'm not saying it's had a brilliant life cycle, but that's still a fair life cycle for a handheld to have. I mean, you get a new DS every other year.
Yeah, but then the thing with the DS is a lot of the stuff is backwards compatible, and especially when you look at the PSP was out for a very long time, and they kept upgrading it, but you could play any game pretty much on any PSP up until the Vita. So the individual consoles may have had a shorter lifetime, but the system as a whole didn't.
A PSP, whether you bought the original, the PSP 2000, 3000, or if you're really stupid, the PSP Go, then you still had the same library of games. Same with the DS. Whether you bought the original big chunky, the DS Lite, the DS Lite XL, the DSi, whatever, it was still a DS. It was still playing the same software.
Apart from DSiWare.
Yeah, but let's face it, that was such a small library that no one was missing anything.
Yeah, true. Same with new 3DS as well. Like, all they've had is Xenoblade Chronicles, and that's it.
Yeah, and look how that's affected Xenoblade's sales.
But still, they still played. You can still play the original DS games. So you can still play on some of them. You can still play Game Boy games on them. That's how far back the compatibility goes, and that's probably something that obviously helps. If you go, well, I've already got 20 games from a DS, but that doesn't matter. I can just upgrade. Whereas if you go, well, I've got 20 PSP games and I want to buy a Vita, guess I'm not playing those anymore.
Nah, well, not unless you got the digital versions, but that's about it.
Yeah, so digital copies of PSP games can be downloaded to your PlayStation Vita and played. So your digital library you could take across with you, but not your physical.
I think the thing that bugged me about the Vita most was the proprietary memory card, because that 64 gig memory card is bloody expensive. But I know that 4 gig is expensive. Yeah. That's the thing. I think at this point you can get the console cheaper than the memory card.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Well, The Vita's dead and buried. I'm still going to enjoy mine. Damn it, I paid for it. I'm going to get my enjoyment out of it. And I think it'll probably continue as a companion device to my PlayStation 4, as it already has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, Harmonix, obviously, some of their staff were caught posting positive Rock Band reviews, with one of them even claiming to be a new player. You know, like, oh, I've never really tried the games before, but now I have, and it's amazing. Now, Harmonix
When I first heard about this, I instantly just thought, why would the Guitar Hero people guys be posting? And I was like, oh wait, no, Harmonix do Rock Band now, don't they? They switched around for some reason.
But what was funny was Harmonix trying to distance themselves from it. Well, like, we've not asked our employees to do this, we don't endorse our employees doing this, we were not aware of our employees doing this. And you sort of gotta think, well, what other fucking reason would they have?
It's obviously come from someone somewhere. They've been told to do it, because you just wouldn't, would you?
No. And the way some of these were constructed as well, you know. It's like it's sort of a copy-paste job from something that was pre-written for someone. Or like, you know, they've got a checklist. Make sure you mention X, Y, and Z. You know.
So how did they get caught out?
Reddit, mostly.
Basically, I don't know who it was that actually figured it out, but someone was looking on the Amazon and was basically going on the Amazon profiles of people who were leaving the reviews, and obviously it says your real name on your wish list and things like that.
And then
so that's how they were matching
against
them.
the credits for the game.
That's how they identified them.
Yeah.
It seems like a very silly way of going about it, because I know, I can imagine that a lot of companies do this without realizing, and there are companies set up where you give them money and they'll give positive reviews on
Who
your
Amazon
product.
are now suing on
Yeah,
masse.
don't do that on Amazon.
But at least with that way, you say, well, at least you're distancing. It's one step away from you. You don't want to do it yourself, because if you do it yourself, it's very obvious, it's very easy to find, and there's a huge backlash. Whereas if there's another company doing it, you can at least play some sort of like, well, we never asked them to do this. We don't know who got them to do this, that sort of thing. There's that one step away. It just seems a bit silly. And also, obviously, your employees it's not their job, and they're very more likely to think, this doesn't seem right. Whereas if you're paying another company to do it, obviously they know what they're doing.
The reason that it looks more obvious is because it's not like it was just one guy at the company that did it. It was several.
Yeah.
Why would several people do it if they weren't being told to?
This is almost like when the British Gaming Blog Facebook page posts up the link to the new episode, and within seconds, Sam Webster, Richard Savage, and Terry Kane have liked and shared the post. That's what it's like.
or like when it says British Gaming Blog likes this, Sam.
Apparently, when I'm on the mobile app, it automatically switches me to using the BGB account. So I think I'm liking it as me.
A couple of days ago.
I think there's a line between liking it and sharing it, and then instead writing a comment on it saying, pretending we weren't associated with it, saying, this is the best podcast I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, don't get me wrong, but...
This is the best podcast I've ever listened to, not Richard Savage.
Yeah. It would be like that, because, I mean, your name's tied directly to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're not liking the podcast when we're sharing it on Facebook. Like, for example, if Sam does, like,
I make a quick 5-second joke.
Remade, repackaged, rebooted, and I like it. You know, it's not me being all like, hey, I also made this too, so I'm liking my own work, because it's all Sam's work.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between liking something and saying, hey, I've never played this game before, I've never heard of it before, but now I love it. That's your very, because you're allowed to like something that you've made.
Absolutely.
But maybe don't tell people that you're not related to it, because you obviously are.
Or I think no. I don't think anyone claimed that they weren't related to it. I think that they had a duty and a responsibility to disclose the fact, and they did not disclose the fact. This isn't someone lying. This is someone not telling you information that is relevant and important.
Yeah.
It's just being deceptive, isn't it? That's what it
a
is.
little bit, yeah.
Thank you, Richie. I was searching for that word the entire time I was muddling through that sentence.
You know what this is like? This is like those people on Steam Greenlight, like the friends of people who upload those shitty Unity Assets games, putting good reviews on there, or a lot of the time the actual developers themselves putting those reviews on there. On top of that, the developers deleting the negative reviews on there as well, because they can do that for some stupid reason. They really need to change that.
Sock puppet accounts as well, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's why it's good that we can catch this sort of stuff out on online now, and sort of give that black mark to people that pull this bullshit.
Does it affect your likelihood to buy the game? Yes or no?
I wasn't going to buy it anyway, so it doesn't. I'd say no, it doesn't affect it because I wasn't going to buy it anyway.
Same here.
I'm going to say no because overall I think Harmonix are a good company, and I think this is just some man in a suit made a decision that's sort of come back to bite them. I don't think it's the developer's fault necessarily.
Oh yeah, that's another thing as well, where what publishers do don't necessarily reflect the morals of the developers.
Okay, so I would agree in so much as I had no intention to buy the game. However, obviously there are games I've not particularly wanted to buy before, and then I've ended up getting them later on because actually I've gotten curious or something's changed or I've found out some new information about the game. So I wouldn't say it doesn't affect me because I wasn't planning to buy it anyway, and I would say that it makes me less likely to buy the game.
That's fair, completely fair.
Yeah. So, also less likely to purchase products or products that I have no intention in paying for. YouTube Red subscription service gets rid of ads on normal YouTube videos and gives you special access to exclusive content that you can't see any other way. I honestly have no interest in YouTube Red. If I wanted to get rid of adverts on, normal videos, I would install AdBlock. And sorry, just let me finish.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
As far as the exclusive content is concerned, A, I'm not entirely sure what the exclusive content is, and B, I don't like a lot of the popular YouTubers, and from the sounds of it, most of them are the ones who are going to be involved in these projects. So it's people I have no interest in, doing something else, which, it's like, I'm guessing maybe a third of their existing fan base. Like, if we take PewDiePie doing something exclusive on YouTube Red, maybe a third of his fan base, at most, would buy a YouTube Red subscription to see it. The other 2/3 would probably be like, I'm used to getting... Because the precedent and the expectation for YouTube is free entertainment.
Well, the other 2/3 won't be old enough to pay for it.
Yeah, that's
true.
I'm just wondering how many people are going to accidentally end up on RedTube as a result of trying to search for this.
Thanks, Terry.
And we're back.
Yeah. So, no,
on a serious note, I'm wondering if there's going to be some new terms and conditions for like what kind of video content can be uploaded to this new subscription service. It's like, you remember when Nintendo came out with their creator program thing, and they had all these terms and conditions about what can be in the video, how it can be presented, that kind of thing. And you're paying them part of your ad revenue to be part of this as well. I'm just wondering whether that's going to apply with this as well.
I've been following this because obviously I monetize most of my videos. I don't get much out of it. I think I've earned about £120 in 5 years, which on a year-for-year basis, I mean, if you break that down per video, it's not good. Anyway, so I was looking at it, and what they're basically saying is that if someone's watching your video and they've got, YouTube Red, then YouTube will essentially pay it forward because they've paid their subscription to YouTube. However, what you would get would be less than... And bear in mind, if they just watched it with the ads, you're already looking at 0.00001 penny. So you're looking at less than that if they have YouTube Red. As far as what you can and can't upload, obviously YouTube's policies on that remain the same. and their enforcement remains the same. When it comes to the exclusive content, the stuff that's gated off behind the paywall of YouTube Red, you don't go to them; they come to you. You don't apply to create exclusive content for YouTube Red. You get picked by YouTube to do it.
Really?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that seems like an odd way of going about it. I mean,
That
from
might
what
change in
from what
time.
I read up on this, it seemed like the exclusive stuff is more going to be stuff like music videos and things like that. I know there's obviously at the minute there's a lot of music videos on YouTube, and I think the new ones that come out they're going to want to do this because obviously they don't want to give their music away for free, obviously with the adverts and stuff. I can't imagine many people that are currently big like PewDiePie and stuff. I can't imagine they're going to be wanting to go on to do that sort of thing because they've got a huge community at the minute. They're not going to gain any more people from going exclusive.
If anything, they're going to lose people.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be afraid of turning people away. And it's not like they're not earning enough money as it is anyway.
Okay,
So I think it's mainly going to be big companies that are like, because to be fair, there are some very high name gamers and stuff on YouTube, but
we're not talking
you can always
about
find
them
somebody
going
else doing that.
exclusively behind the paywall.
Yeah,
we're talking about them. The ones they do behind the paywall is in addition to the stuff they already produce for free.
but even then, I think it would be more of a turn off for their community. I think it's where the subscription wall will work best is if you've got content that no one else can provide, and that very well ties in with if there's only one company that are putting music videos on for certain artists and things like that. So you can't just because you can just go I want to watch someone playing Minecraft and you can find like 1 billion people on YouTube doing that. If you want to go I want to watch the latest video by band X, there's only going to be one way of doing that on YouTube because they're going to take all the others down, and that's where it's more likely to be behind the paywall.
However, the biggest sector of YouTube is gaming. There's no denying that.
But I think that works against. I think that works against the making the content paywall because there's so many videos in the gaming sector. You're less likely to pay money for any specific person's private videos.
But you would just start MCM commenting on how dedicated some of the fans were, how long some of them were queuing for certain personalities, certain celebrities, internet celebrities at that, I admit. So what you're looking at is a lot of, there are 100 people streaming Minecraft, but sometimes there's the argument about whether they're there for the game or whether they're there for the player. And a lot of these people are certainly there for the player. They're not talking about, who's playing this game. They're talking about what's this person playing now. It's the other way around.
I understand that, and I'm not saying it's going to turn I'm not even saying it's going to turn a lot of people away, but they're doing that. It's not going to attract anybody. Nobody's going to go, I've not been watching PewDiePie's videos, but I'm going to watch them now because I can pay for the exclusive ones. No, so they're not going to gain any viewers by going to partly exclusive content.
The people who
but
pay,
they are going to lose people.
The people who pay, as we already discussed, will be about a third of the fan base, if that, and that will be from the existing fan base. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is they're going after the personalities, and that's what people will follow.
But I think the thing is that they're more likely to lose people from having exclusive content than they are to gain people from having it, and I think they're kind of aware of that. But I mean, to be honest, it's all a bit of a moot point if they don't get chosen anyway. Really, I think YouTube are going to be thinking very hard about who they're going to choose and what kind of things they want to put in their exclusive service, and making it so that it's stuff that you can't get anywhere else, and that's what's going to bring people to the exclusive service.
Well, yeah, I keep my Netflix subscription because I know Daredevil Season 2 will be on that and that only. However, the people who, follow these guys now and are already subscribed to, Jesse Cox, Jim Sterling, I don't think Jim would go for it, personally, but,
No, he's done well enough on Patreon.
Yeah. The Completionist, potentially. I don't know if those guys would. Maybe Scott Cawthon, from Game Theory. The content that people are already getting for free on a regular basis, they would continue to get. They don't lose anything. So I don't understand how you turn people off. This is extra. This is like saying, we give you a pepperoni pizza every week. You're still getting that pepperoni pizza. If you want to pay extra, we'll chuck some chorizo on there as well.
But that's going with the logic that people are going to do it that way. Let's look at how DLC works at the moment. Ideally, DLC works where it's an addition to a full game, but a lot of game developers and publishers now are basically releasing unfinished games and trying to get people to buy the season pass. I'm wondering how much this is going to affect those YouTube users.
I am kind of an example that these systems can work, actually, because I am actually a what? What's funny about that?
No. I'm just liking that you're now riding in, and it sounds like you're going to be in support. So I want to hear this.
It's not that I'm necessarily in support. I don't see the harm in doing it. There's nothing to lose for it. But I'm what they call a sponsor of Rooster Teeth. I give them a bit of money every month, and I get to see exclusive content and things like that. It's the same thing, and I love it. And it's not because I want to see just the exclusive content. It's because I'm sold, like you said, I'm sold on the personalities and things like that. Yeah. And that's why if anything, I feel like I'm supporting them by doing it.
Basically, you're the target audience for exactly this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, to go back to an earlier point then, if, Rooster Teeth are playing GTA 5, you're not necessarily there for GTA 5. Like, there are a ton of people playing GTA 5, but you want to watch Rooster Teeth specifically do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, all their videos go up on YouTube, but I mean, by being a sponsor, it means I get slightly extra little bit of content, and I get to watch the stuff a day early. And to me, that's worth it.
Yeah. And that's fair enough. But my point is that it's not that a huge amount of people are going to be annoyed by that. It's that there are going to be a few people that are there. If you think of the people trying to gain new people, you're more likely to go for somebody you're going to get all of their content for. I'm not saying it's going to make a huge difference. I'm just saying that I can't imagine there's going to be a few people that are going to be turned off by the idea.
I agree with you, but then if you're already paying, say you decided to pay for the service because you like one of the people, because I mean PewDiePie is one of the people who's doing this. He is one of the names in the list. So say you really like PewDiePie and you think, okay, I'll shell out the however much a month it is. You might then go on to find more exclusive content and therefore discover more people. So I mean, it might work.
Turn around and say, right, I bought it for this guy, but fuck it, I'm paying for it.
Well, this is what it is for me with Rooster Teeth. Like, I like a lot of the videos, but because I now pay for it, I find myself watching more of their stuff to make sure I get the money's worth.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but it's a similar sort of effect.
So actually, for you, it has the reverse effect to what Peter's worried about.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that particular subscription, because I mean, Rooster Teeth are actually one of the companies as well that are going to be part of this YouTube Red. Yeah. So, I mean, if I then subscribe to YouTube Red to see their YouTube Red exclusive content, I might then find other things that I go, well, I might as well watch it. I'm paying for it.
Exactly, and then if anything, they're gaining new fans and not losing fans.
And yeah, they might well do. Yeah.
And if it does turn anybody off, it will probably even out of the people who have YouTube Red subscriptions are like, fuck it, I've paid for you, let's watch you. Now,
again, I go back to my DLC example. I wonder how that's going to affect, like, how some channels are going to be churning out content. I really hope it doesn't go the way that the games industry has with how bad DLC is treated.
If there's nickel and diming to happen, then it'll happen, essentially. But, the way I see it is, like, if we did the podcast and we continue putting that out as we do, right? And I'm not, by the way, suggesting that we do this. This is just, I'm trying to compare it to something relative that we can all sort of understand.
Yeah, I get that. Carry
on. So, I mean, we always stick around, or at least we usually stick around after the podcast, and we're usually on before the podcast, just chatting amongst ourselves, so before it starts and after it ends. Potentially, we could keep the podcasts free, but charge people for those before and after chats that we're having anyway.
Actually, that's one of the things that I subscribe to Rooster Teeth for, is that they do a podcast every Monday. They do a podcast post-show where they do an extra 20 minutes. Yeah. That's one of the reasons that I subscribe to them, or sponsored them, or whatever you want to call it.
Right, so like Koshoroga and Lupacillo would probably pay for that, but everybody else wouldn't be fussed. Nobody else would give a shit, but it wouldn't detract from their enjoyment of the usual show. The only time it would detract from their enjoyment of the usual show is if we purposefully started referencing things that was only in the additional content.
Again, like I say, those are very good uses of that system. But if we get some negative uses of that system, then that's going to be turning people
Then
away.
the individual who uses it shittily
Yeah.
will be the one to suffer the consequences.
Assuming people don't still buy into it like watch that individual. That's the thing, because like again, these practices only succeed if people buy into them. That's why the shitty practices from companies like EA and things continue, because people still buy their shit and buy into this stuff.
Well,
So
all we can do is hope that if some arsehole starts nickel and diming the system, that people vote with their wallets and also direct their views away. Because imagine you've got your subscription, right? And YouTube
Yeah.
are looking at it and they're like, right, these people are paying for these subscriptions. This guy is bringing in millions of views. This guy is bringing in millions of views. This guy is only bringing in 100 or so views. That's the guy that's going to get kicked from the program, and that will be the nickel and diming arsehole.
It's just whenever new payment systems come into place, it's just always that kind of feeling of sort of caution I sort of experience. It's like when Steam announced paid mods a while back, and
God.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like in theory, I kind of liked the idea for the sake of people that make full-on large-scale mods, really decent things, the sort of stuff like Counter-Strike, that kind of thing. It gives them sort of the resources to be able to take that further, kind of thing. But then at the same time, you just know it's going to get exploited, like Steam Greenlight, for instance. So, it's just one of those things where you just got to hope people don't exploit it negatively too often, and that the people that use it right outweigh the people that don't.
All right. I'm looking at time, guys, and we need to move on. So I'm just going to summarize it in one question. Are you going to get YouTube Red? Have you already got it? Yes or no? So I'm going to start with Richie and move through you. Richie?
I have no intention to get it, but I'll wait and see what kind of content. Obviously, I'll see what kind of content is advertised for it, and I'll probably make a decision based on that. I haven't done too much research yet, but at the moment, I have no intention.
So you're waiting in the wings, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be enough to sell it to me, but I don't want to rule it out yet.
Okay. Terry?
No interest and no intention to get it.
Okay. Pete?
I've not really got any interest. I'm kind of curious to see what price point. Have they released a price point for it yet?
I believe it's $5.99 a month.
See, for that, I wouldn't do it. If I could pay like £1 a month and get the adverts or something off, then I would. But I don't want exclusive content, and if I watch it on anything other than my TV, I can just block the ads anyway.
I'm also a no, mainly because this mostly involves the big YouTubers, and I don't see the appeal in the majority of them. Obviously, Richie wants me to give Rooster Teeth another go, which fair enough, I'll give them a try. But like the majority of them, I don't get it. I feel like an old man whenever I watch some of these people's videos. Yeah, maybe it's just a different culture, I guess, but not for me. Right, we're going to move on to the questions of the week. So the questions this week all come from Koshoro Guy. We have got 5 of them, and I'm going to rattle through them. Again, conscious of time, so we may keep the answers a little briefer than usual. So
Let's not rush through them, let's give proper answers.
I'm not talking about rushing, I'm just saying, maybe not spend like half an hour on each question. So, question 1. What are some games that you've tried to get into but couldn't due to either how complex or gimmicky the gameplay is? He gives an example of The World Ends With You. Is there anyone in particular who wants to start us off on that?
Games that I wanted to get into, but I just couldn't.
I'll start us then. BioShock. I have started on. We're approaching double digits for how many times I've started a new game in the original BioShock, and I always get to the same point just after you get given the camera for the first time, and I lose interest, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that game is a slow starter, to be fair.
I'm gonna have to agree on that. I've tried a couple of times to start BioShock, and I just sort of
Same here actually.
lose interest. I mean, I do really want to try and push past that barrier, because from what I've heard, once you do that, it gets a lot better. But I don't have that much time to spend 5 or 10 hours on a game that I'm not enjoying when I've got so
Yeah.
many other games that I can enjoy.
It doesn't take 5 to 10 hours to get to the good bit.
Well, I've played it for 5 to 10 hours the first time I played it, and I still didn't enjoy it. So
Oh, you must have been going through the levels really slowly then. Either that, or you just generally don't like the game, and you've played enough to know that you're not at the good bit.
Although, saying about getting to the good bit, I think we've had this discussion before in that games need to get to the good bit faster, and every time we have the discussion, Terry just pulls Final Fantasy 13 on me. And,
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't put in like 5 hours for Bioshock, but you can put in like 20 hours for Final Fantasy 13.
because he enjoys that game, though.
He didn't enjoy the first 20 hours.
Well, that's his fault.
Yeah, I put up a review of it years ago, and it was not a popular review. Put it that way. How about you, Richie?
I was trying to think of an answer, and it's not that I didn't enjoy the game, but I suppose my closest thing to that is when you lent me Shenmue. And I tried a few times, and I have, to this day, I've started it a few times, and I've just never carried it on. And it's not because I didn't enjoy it, I suppose. It's just because it's very different to anything else I've ever played, and I find it hard to get into.
No, a few people have had that reaction. You're not alone there.
I think that's probably the best example I can think of.
Okay. Terry, did you have anything outside of Bioshock, or is that?
Well, I mean, I didn't have that issue with. Well, actually, I did have that issue with Bioshock at first, but then I managed to push past that point, and Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite are now two of my favourite games.
See, I
Lost
bought
Odyssey.
Bioshock Infinite. I've not even opened it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend playing through Infinite until you've beaten the first one. The second one you can take or leave because it was a different development team, not canon. It fits into the timeline fine, but it's not needed. In regards to games I had trouble getting into, it was Lost Odyssey. Really, I've had that on my shelf for so long now. It's one of the few renowned good JRPG titles of last gen. Another JRPG is Eternal Sonata as well. I really need to get around to playing through that. The art style in it is gorgeous, and I love the whole idea of it, the whole premise.
Oh, that reminds me, and people are going to really hate me for this one. Gravity Rush on the Vita.
Never heard of it.
I've heard the name,
who's
but I don't know
played
anything about it.
Loves it, and I just can't get into it. I just can't. Right.
I had this issue with Retro City Rampage until I got on a handheld.
See, I'd say I'd had the same issue with the Assassin's Creed series, but I was fine through like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and Brotherhood. It was Revelations that I stopped.
It was 3 for me. 3 I just can't get into.
I just got burnout in the end. I got tired of them. There were too many, and they were too samey after a certain point.
I do have a question. If I was to get into it, say, like I got number 4 as part of the games with gold thing, is that an okay point to jump on with, or are they very dependent on each other, like in terms of the timeline?
Basically, there's the Desmond story, which ended with 3, and that was like the end of the original story they had planned out. So 4 onwards is pretty much extra, if you know what I mean. They didn't necessarily know that they'd ever get to that point, so it is in a sense a separate story from there on.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I mean, I've heard that 4 is a really good installment in the series, and I got it for free, so I guess I'll give that a go at some point.
Yeah, you figure may as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. Right, let's move on to question 2 then, and this is the one that we're all a little bit worried about. So, out of the 3 of you, who do you think can win an insult contest, and will this contest be taking place at the time of either of us reading this question on the podcast? And Kishore went as far as to give us some examples. Sam, your face is so depressing and disgusting that only a mother can love it. If that mother was blind, deaf, mentally incapacitated, thought that you were more important than oxygen, and is completely incapable of truly understanding your inner feelings or lack thereof. Terry, instead of sucking at everything you've ever done, try being good at something for once in your life. Now, I know that can be hard for you, especially if you really like being in that situation, so I would propose that you let Richie take over that job. Richie, I really wish I could have 4 eyes like you do. I know it's a backhanded compliment, but I can't think of anything insult-worthy to say to Richie. Richie got off scot-free, pretty much.
I'm sure he'll think of something. Give him time.
Yeah, he turned around and said probably not the greatest insults in the world, but it's a start. Now don't disappoint me, boys.
No, what I'm
Not
wondering about is in the question, after my name, he put if he can be bothered, that is. I was like,
Can't even be bothered to insult you.
yeah.
No. If you can be bothered to read the question out, is how I interpreted that.
What?
Yeah.
Out of the 3 of you, who do you think can win an insult contest, and will the contest be taking place at the time of either Sam, Terry, if he can be bothered?
Richie reading this. So saying if you can be bothered reading it. Which, I read it, so we have to assume that you couldn't be bothered reading it, you lazy shit. Right, actually, I'm gonna go with, that's my insult right there. I just called him a lazy shit. I hope that satisfies you.
I'm just gonna say Kashara guy is starting to sound like Sam, so that's just like a double whammy 2 in 1.
Richie, come on, get it out of your system.
No, I like Kashara guy, and he wasn't nasty about me, so I'm not gonna be nasty about him.
No, he wants you to be nasty about us.
Oh, yeah, well, I could go on all day for that. I better
Vita?
not, though. I better not.
I've not been involved in this one.
Peter's like, I'm sorry about this.
I don't feel like I want to get myself involved in this one. It's Kashara guy seems a bit mean though. There was some pretty. I'll just give some examples and then ruthlessly tear you down.
I'm starting to think you might.
I guess if you've got nothing better to do than listen to these 3 guys talk about stuff, you're probably going to be quite bitter about your life, so you've got to take it out on someone else, eh?
Oh!
Nicely done.
That's for forgetting me.
We have a salt spillage on aisle 4. I repeat, a salt spillage on aisle 4. Jesus. Right, okay. So that's out of everybody's system. Number 3. What are some of your favourite games that are more style over substance?
Journey.
Yeah, probably Journey. Also, as much as I love Guitar Man, there's not a whole lot to Guitar Man.
There's a whole, 10 buttons that you have to press. In, different orders as well. There's loads to that game.
No,
But no, I would agree with you. Guitar Man is very light on the actual... Well, I wouldn't say gameplay. It's still quite hard gameplay.
There's not a whole
but it
lot.
is. Sorry, Pete. I would have just loved if that was a review. There's a lot of buttons to press.
Maybe I should start reviewing games like that. You have to press them in the right order as well, or you'll get told off by not having any music.
Well, no. What I mean by the Guitar Man one, I'll explain a little bit. So there are 10 songs in the whole thing, so it's not a long game. And let's face it, by the time you've done the first level, the game's taught you everything that you need to know. You don't learn anything else between there and the final level. You're just practicing that one core concept throughout the entire game. However, because it's so fucking stylish and such a brilliant, simple core concept, it gets away with it, and I love the game to pieces.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do like Kashara's No More Heroes example. The style in that is pretty nice as well. And Mad World. That's another one on the Wii that's quite nice stylistically.
Okay, but is it style over substance?
To be honest, I think Mad World is substantial, but at the same time, I think the style is what keeps me sort of involved more than the substance of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Richie?
I think my closest answer to this is probably a game called Magicite, which is a little game on Steam that I've put quite a few hours into with a friend because it's got a little bit of multiplayer. It's like a 16-bit side-scrolling, almost like an RPG, essentially, but without the sort of the turn-based system. But there's a lot of the whole inventory system, crafting, all this sort of stuff. There's not a lot to the game, but it is surprisingly fun, and it's a very nice-looking game. So that's my answer.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to say on mine, another one is Flower.
I love that game.
Yeah. No. We're moving on then.
I didn't get a chance to answer.
You agreed with my answer.
Well, yeah, but for me, I wanted to say that I wouldn't really say that any games I've played have had style over substance, because for me, the style of the game can be all of the substance of the game, and I've never had a game where it's been really stylistic, but I've wanted more from it. The style has been more than enough for me on several occasions.
Okay, so your answer is that no game has left you with that feeling.
Style is substance to me.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, one more,
That's
last
deep,
one.
that is.
Last one, I promise. Life is Strange.
Okay, fair enough. So, number 4. What are some of your favourite video game licensed movies? Street Fighter 2D animated movie is fucking brilliant. Everyone should watch Street Fighter 2D animated movie. It's fantastic. Outside of that, I genuinely enjoyed the first Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie.
Same.
Yep. I actually kind of like the Mario Bros. Movie as a guilty pleasure, and just to wrap it off for me, the CGI Resident Evil movies, particularly the Generation, the one with Leon and Claire in the airport.
The CGI, so not the live action ones, not even GTA motherfuckers.
What?
Have you not seen Resident Evil Apocalypse?
No, I didn't get that far through the live action films.
Oh yeah, that was like the best line in that. He was just like, GTA motherfuckers!
Okay.
It was a fun moment.
So, opening the floor.
I'm gonna go Tekken Blood Vengeance. It was sort of CGI animated one that they did, kind of revolving around Ling Xiaoyu and oh shit, I forget. I think it's Elisa Boskonovich is her name, the robot girl chick. That one was alright. Other than that, the Dead or Alive live action movie, it was okay.
Oh, come on,
you know,
that was a pile of shit.
it was okay.
The only good thing in that was Holly Valance in a bikini.
Fair enough. I don't know. I think maybe I'm just comparing it to other video game movies more than movies in general.
Okay. Pete?
For me, I haven't really seen a whole lot of none that I can remember that were basically a movie made about a game. The one I remember is Max Payne. When I first saw the reviews for Max Payne, I saw everybody the movie that is. A lot of people sort of slated it, I think, because they didn't really understand what it was trying to do. I heard a lot of like, oh, there's all this like fantasy stuff with like devils and stuff in there. So I kind of put it off for ages, and when I did watch it, I really enjoyed it because I really loved the original Max Payne, and I really loved 2 as well, and 3 was still pretty good. But I really liked the movie. I found the movie was actually quite faithful, and I found that it was done quite well to, especially the main themes of the original game.
Okay, fair enough. Ricardo.
My answer's a bit of a cop-out because it's the obvious one. I'm just going to go with the Pokemon movies.
Oh, how did I forget those?
Oh damn!
Let's specify Pokemon the first movie and Pokemon the movie 2000. The rest can piss off.
No, the 4th one was quite good. The one with Celebi in it. I enjoyed that one. Pokemon Forever.
What number was Mewtwo Strikes Back?
I don't think it was numbered. I think it was a spin-off.
I think that was just a little sort of short film. I don't think that had an official number.
It's sort of like an OVA.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't believe I forgot. Do.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
Has
Both of them.
anyone seen the Need for Speed movie?
No.
No.
I didn't watch that for ages again because I'd heard bad things about it, but I really liked it as kind of a mindless act. I mean, I've got a bit of a thing for mindless action films, but it was more than I was expecting it to be. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and at the end of it, I thought, wow, I need to go play some Need for Speed. Oh, no, I don't really like Need for Speed. I'm going to play Burnout instead.
According to Wikipedia, the Need for Speed movie got 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Damn.
I really liked it. I wasn't expecting that much from it, so that probably helped. But I thought it was really well done. It was very much on a level with Fast and Furious, if not maybe a little bit better than some of them. My only complaint is that I haven't enjoyed a Need for Speed game other than Most Wanted, and even that runs pretty bad on PC. There's a lot of input lag. But yeah, as a movie, I really enjoyed it more than the games.
According to Wikipedia, there's a Sonic the Hedgehog movie in production.
Yeah.
There's also the existing Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh yeah, that was just fun just to see Sonic yell at Tails and tell him to shut the fuck up.
This
Basically.
film is expected to be live action and CGI hybrid.
Oh my god, it's gonna be horrible! I can't wait.
Seriously though, Richie, I will show you the anime movie from like the mid-90s. Knuckles turns up in a cowboy hat.
The animation style looked very similar to Sonic CD. I think they got the same
It
artist.
did, yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find it after this.
Okay. But yeah, I think we've covered that one then. So number 5, the final question. What are some of your favourite British comedies? Bottom comes to mind. So
It's got to be
Yes.
Red Dwarf.
Yeah, classic.
I mean,
Faulty, Faulty Towers.
if we can count them, I watch a lot of panel shows like Mock the Week, 8 out of 10 Cats, etc., etc. Have I got news for you?
Ooh, the IT crowd.
Oh yes, the IT crowd. You can't forget that. Christ.
Yeah, In Between is alright.
Yeah. Yeah, true. You can't go wrong with In Between Us.
Yeah, what else is there?
I quite like Outnumbered. Have you seen that?
I'm not
Yeah.
a fan of Outnumbered.
Ah, see, I am. I thought it was really good.
I really enjoy Fresh Meat as well. That's probably one of
no, Fresh Meat was crap, dude.
I really enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it was a comedy. I think it would be more of a comedy drama.
I'd
Probably a
call
bit
it a
more heavy
train
on the
wreck.
drama. But I enjoyed it.
Absolute fucking train wreck, that's what I'd call it.
Seriously?
Yeah, serious.
How much did you watch of it?
About 4 episodes.
Ah, fair enough. Because I was going to say, I remember the first episode was pretty shit, but saying that, I did enjoy the second season more than the first. But
Yeah.
Bad Education. I've watched some of the episodes of that. That's been pretty funny.
Okay.
I quite enjoy Jack Whitehall, actually. He's such a posh twat, but I like him.
You posh twat, I love you.
That's basically his thing.
Yeah. Right, well, unless anyone has anything to add to that one, I think that wraps us for the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least, I was going to say we didn't hear from Lupacillo, but he did actually give us a comment, though, so we know he's all fine, Kishara's all fine, so we don't need any reports on who's alive this week.
Yeah, and on the topic of Pete joining us on a more regular basis, let us know your thoughts on it. Tell us if you want him, basically.
I think it'll be quite good. That's my thought.
Yeah, we quite like him. We think he's alright. You know, generally speaking. But yeah, let us know. We're probably just going to ignore you and have him on regularly anyway, but let us know. So I just want to sign off by, again, saying thank you to everyone who came and said hi at MCM Expo. Meant a hell of a lot, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Do come see me, Terry and Richie, at Western Supersonic in January, which is the next convention I'll be at. And yeah, outside of that, keep listening to the podcast each week, because I'll be right here. Richie, anything you want to say before we go?
No, that's it from me. Good night.
Okay. Terry?
I'm just going to go cry myself to sleep over Kishara's hurtful words.
Okay. And our special guest, Pete.
Nope.
Okay. Well, this has been the British Gaming Podcast for the 26th of October 2015. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in a week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.